Captain Sarah Chen's eyes snapped open, her vision blurry as the cryopod's lid slowly lifted. The acrid smell of preserved biomatter filled her nostrils as she took her first breath in what felt like moments, but her military training told her otherwise. Something was wrong. The low hum of emergency power systems and flashing red lights confirmed her suspicions. Sarah's muscles protested as she pulled herself out of the pod, her specially designed bodysuit clinging to her like a second skin. The cryo-chamber was dark, illuminated only by the eerie glow of active pods. "Status report," she croaked, her voice hoarse from centuries of disuse. The ship's AI remained silent. Sarah stumbled to the control panel, her legs slowly remembering how to function. The date displayed made her heart skip a beat. 2781. Over 500 years had passed since they entered cryosleep. A groan from behind made her turn. Lieutenant Mike Torres was awakening, looking as disoriented as she felt. "Captain, what's going on?" "We've overslept, Lieutenant, by about 5 centuries. Sarah helped him out of his pod, her mind racing. Their mission was supposed to last 50 years at most, a long-range colonization effort to ensure humanity's survival. Something had gone catastrophically wrong. Over the next hour, all 200 members of their elite military unit awakened. They were the best Earth had to offer, genetically enhanced soldiers trained in advanced combat and survival techniques. As the highest-ranking officer, Sarah took charge. "Listen up, people. We're half a millennium off course, and the ship's systems are barely functioning. Our priority is to assess our situation and establish contact with Earth. Move out." Teams spread throughout the massive colony ship, reporting back their findings. The news was grim. Multiple hull breaches had occurred, and vast sections of the ship were exposed to vacuum. The engines were dead, and the navigation system was offline. They were adrift in unknown space. In the command center, Sarah stared at the star charts, trying to determine their location. Nothing looked familiar. Even accounting for stellar drift over 500 years, they should have recognized something. It was as if the entire galaxy had changed. "Captain, we've got something," a young corporal called out, his hands flying over the communication console. "It's a transmission, but I've never seen a format like this." Sarah leaned in, her brow furrowed. The message was unlike any human communication protocol she'd ever encountered. "Can you decode it?" The corporal shook his head. "Not fully, but I'm picking up some kind of repeating pattern. It could be a distress signal or a warning. Or a threat," Sarah muttered. "Keep working on it. We need to know what's out there." Days passed as the crew worked tirelessly to repair critical systems. Food and water weren't an issue. The ship's hydroponics bay and protein synthesizers were designed to last for centuries. But with each passing hour, the mystery of their situation deepened. On the 5th day, they made a breakthrough. The ship's long-range sensors came online, revealing the startling truth. They weren't just off course. They were in an entirely different galaxy. The revelation sent shockwaves through the crew. How was this possible? Even with their advanced propulsion systems, crossing intergalactic space should have taken millions of years, not mere centuries. As the implications sank in, Sarah called a meeting of her top officers. "We need to face facts," she began, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her mind. "Earth, our families, everything we knew. It's gone. We're alone in uncharted space, with no idea what's happened in the last 500 years." The room fell silent, the weight of her words hanging heavy in the air. Lieutenant Torres spoke up, his voice tight with emotion. "So what do we do, Captain? We were supposed to be humanity's insurance policy, but now—" Sarah stood, her posture rigid. "Now we become humanity's vanguard. We may be the last humans left in the universe, and we have a duty to survive, to carry on our species' legacy." She activated a holographic display of the surrounding space. "Our scanners have detected a habitable planet within reach of our remaining fuel. It's our best chance for establishing a foothold in this new galaxy. The next weeks were a flurry of activity as they prepared for planetfall. Weapons were checked and rechecked, survival gear was distributed, and contingency plans were made for every conceivable scenario. As they entered the planet's atmosphere, Sarah stood on the bridge, watching the alien landscape grow larger. Vast purple forests stretched as far as the eye could see, broken only by shimmering silver rivers and towering mountain ranges. The ship shuddered as it touched down in a clearing. For a moment, no one moved, the reality of their situation finally sinking in. Then Sarah stepped forward, her voice filled with determination. "This is it, people. A new world, a new start. Whatever happens, remember your training. Remember who you are. We are the last of humanity, and we will not go quietly into the night." As the main hatch opened, letting in the alien air of their new home, Sarah felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. They were about to step into a universe utterly changed, filled with unknown dangers and possibilities. But as she looked at her crew, the best humanity had to offer, trained to face any challenge, she felt a surge of pride. Whatever this new galaxy held, they would face it together. With a deep breath, Captain Sarah Chen took the first step onto alien soil, leading humanity into an uncertain future. The awakening was complete, but their true journey was just beginning. First contact. 3 months had passed since the human expedition made planetfall. They had named their new home Nova Terra, and despite its alien nature, they had adapted quickly. The purple forests, initially forbidding, now provided shelter and resources. The silver rivers teemed with fish-like creatures that, after careful testing, proved to be edible and nutritious. Captain Sarah Chen stood atop a hill overlooking their fledgling settlement. Prefab structures dotted the clearing, surrounded by makeshift defenses. Her people had done well, but she knew they couldn't stay isolated forever. They needed answers. "Captain," Lieutenant Torres called, jogging up the hill. "The long-range scanner is picking up something. It's big, and it's heading our way." Sarah's heart raced. "Alien." Torres nodded grimly. "Has to be. The trajectory suggests it's not natural. Sound the alert. I want everyone battle-ready in 5 minutes." As the warning klaxon echoed through the settlement, Sarah watched the sky. Years of training kicked in as she assessed their options. Fight or flight, stand their ground or hide. The choice was made for them as a massive shadow fell over the land. The alien ship that appeared was unlike anything they had ever seen. It was organic in shape, more like a living creature than a vessel. As it descended, smaller craft emerged from its sides, reminiscent of a hive releasing its workers. "Hold your fire," Sarah ordered through the comm. "Let's see what they want." The smaller craft landed in a circle around the human settlement. Sarah and her top officers stood their ground as hatches opened, revealing the first aliens humanity had ever encountered. They were tall, easily 7 feet, with iridescent scaled skin and 4 arms. Their faces were adorned with bioluminescent patterns that shifted and changed. One stepped forward, its upper arms raised in what Sarah hoped was a peaceful gesture. "We are the Zarn," it spoke, the words somehow forming in Sarah's mind rather than being heard. "We claim this world in the name of the Galactic Empire. Identify yourselves, unknown species." Sarah straightened, projecting confidence she didn't entirely feel. "I am Captain Sarah Chen of Earth. We are humans, and we arrived on this planet 3 months ago. We mean no harm and seek peaceful coexistence." The Zarn's bioluminescent patterns flickered rapidly. "Earth? Humans? These are unknown to us. Your presence here is unauthorized. You will submit to processing and relocation." Sarah's hand instinctively moved to her weapon. "I'm afraid that's not an option. We've established our home here and have no intention of leaving." The Zarn's demeanor shifted, its patterns turning harsh and angular. "You misunderstand, primitive beings. This was not a request. The Zarn Empire rules this galaxy. Resistance is futile. and amusing. With blinding speed, the Zarn reached for a device on its belt. Sarah was faster. Her enhanced reflexes, honed by years of training, allowed her to draw and fire her plasma pistol in the blink of an eye. The Zarn fell, a smoking hole in its chest. Chaos erupted. The other Zarn opened fire with energy weapons, forcing the humans to take cover. But Sarah's people were not ordinary soldiers. They were the pinnacle of human military achievement, with reflexes, strength, and tactical awareness far beyond baseline humans. Epsilon maneuver. Sarah shouted, and her troops responded instantly. They split into 5-person squads, each moving with practiced precision. Their return fire was devastatingly accurate, downing Zarn after Zarn. Lieutenant Torres led a squad in a flanking maneuver, catching a group of Zarn in a deadly crossfire. Private Rodriguez, the team's heavy weapons specialist, unleashed a barrage from his particle cannon, tearing through the Zarn's advanced armor like paper. The battle lasted less than 10 minutes. When it was over, the clearing was littered with Zarn bodies. The human forces had suffered only minor injuries. Sarah turned her attention to the massive Zarn ship still hovering above. Torres, what's our heaviest ordnance? We've got 2 antimatter warheads, Captain. Untested in atmosphere, but they should do the trick. Sarah nodded grimly. Prepare to fire. If they retaliate, I want to make sure we take them with us. As if sensing their intention, the Zarn ship began to ascend rapidly. Within moments, it had disappeared into the upper atmosphere, leaving its dead behind. The humans maintained battle readiness for hours, but no further attack came. As the adrenaline wore off, the reality of what had transpired began to sink in. Captain, a young soldier approached, her eyes wide. We just fought aliens, and won. Sarah surveyed the battlefield, her mind racing. We did, but this is just the beginning. The Zarn will be back, and in greater numbers. We need to prepare. Over the next few days, the humans fortified their position. They studied the Zarn bodies and technology, gleaning what information they could. Sarah spent long hours with her top officers, strategizing their next move. We can't stay here, Torres argued. They know where we are, and we're outnumbered and outgunned. Sarah shook her head. Running isn't an option. This galaxy is their territory. We need more information, more resources. We need to take the fight to them. Private Rodriguez spoke up, a fierce glint in his eye. The Zarn underestimated us once. We can use that. Hit them hard and fast, where they least expect it. A plan began to form. They would use the Zarn's own ship against them. A team of engineers had been working around the clock to understand the alien technology, and they were confident they could pilot one of the smaller craft left behind. Sarah addressed her people, her voice filled with determination. We came to this galaxy to ensure humanity's survival. Now we find ourselves in a war we didn't choose, against an enemy that sees us as primitives to be subjugated. But we are not primitives. We are the best humanity had to offer, and we will show the Zarn Empire what humans are truly capable of. As her words rang out, Sarah saw the fire in her soldiers' eyes. They had been born and trained for this, to face the unknown, to fight against impossible odds. The Zarn had awakened a sleeping giant, and they would soon learn the cost of their arrogance. The humans of Novaterra prepared for war, knowing that the fate of their species hung in the balance. The first contact had been made, and the galaxy would never be the same. Building alliances, the stolen Zarn scout ship hummed with alien energy as Captain Sarah Chen guided it through the star-studded void. Beside her, Lieutenant Torres monitored the unfamiliar systems, his brow furrowed in concentration. In the back, a small team of human soldiers sat in tense silence, ready for anything. Their mission was clear but dangerous. Gather intelligence, find potential allies, and strike at the heart of the Zarn Empire. They had been traveling for weeks, avoiding major Zarn patrols and studying intercepted communications. Captain, Torres said, breaking the silence. "I'm picking up a distress signal. It's not Zarn." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "Source: a small planet in a nearby system. The signal's weak, but it's definitely non-Zarn technology. It could be a trap, but it could also be the opportunity they'd been waiting for. Plot a course. We're going in." As they approached the planet, signs of a recent battle became clear. Debris from destroyed ships littered the orbit, and the planet's surface showed scars of orbital bombardment. They landed in a desolate area, the ground still smoking from recent impacts. As they exited the ship, weapons ready, they were met with an unexpected sight. A group of aliens, clearly not Zarn, emerged from hidden bunkers. They were bipedal, with tough, bark-like skin and leafy appendages. One stepped forward, its voice a rustling whisper. You are not Zarn. Who are you?" Sarah lowered her weapon slightly. "We are humans, from a distant galaxy. We too have suffered at the hands of the Zarn Empire. We heard your distress call." The alien's leafy appendages quivered. "I am Kyle, leader of what's left of the Arbory people. The Zarn. They came without warning, demanding our complete surrender. When we refused, they unleashed devastation." Sarah's jaw tightened. It was the same story they'd heard repeated across the stars. The Zarn Empire's thirst for conquest knew no bounds. "We may be able to help each other," Sarah said. "We have weapons and tactics the Zarn haven't encountered. You have knowledge of this galaxy and its peoples. Together, we might stand a chance." Kyle's eyes, like pools of amber sap, studied Sarah intently. "You speak of resistance. Against the entire Zarn Empire, it's impossible." "Nothing's impossible," Sarah replied, her voice steel. "We've already defeated Zarn forces in battle. With the right strategy and enough allies, we can bring them down." Over the next days, the humans worked with the Arbory, helping them rebuild and fortify their defenses. Sarah shared their encounters with the Zarn, demonstrating human combat techniques and technology. The Arbory, in turn, provided invaluable information about the galaxy's political landscape. "There are others," Kyle explained, pointing to a star map. "Races that chafe under Zarn rule or live in fear of conquest. The Volcrin, masters of stealth technology. The Kareen, powerful Shins. If united, we could form a formidable resistance." Sarah nodded, a plan forming in her mind. "We'll need to move quickly and quietly. The Zarn can't know what we're planning until it's too late." With the Arbory's help, the humans made contact with other oppressed species. Each encounter was fraught with danger and uncertainty, but Sarah's diplomatic skills and the humans' military prowess gradually won trust. The Volcrin, gaseous beings that could phase through solid matter, were initially skeptical but were won over by the humans' advanced battle tactics. The Kareen, despite their telepathic abilities, were impressed by the humans' mental discipline and unpredictable nature. As their alliance grew, so did their daring. What began as small, hit-and-run attacks on Zarn outposts escalated into coordinated strikes against major military installations. The humans' combat expertise, combined with their allies' unique abilities, proved a devastating combination. On a Zarn-controlled mining world, Sarah led a joint human-Volcrin team in infiltrating a heavily fortified facility. The Volcrin phased them through walls and security systems, while the humans' precise attacks neutralized key targets. They escaped with crucial intelligence and a cache of advanced Zarn weapons. In another operation, human soldiers worked alongside Kareen Shins to ambush a Zarn battle fleet. The Kareen clouded the minds of Zarn commanders, while the humans executed a brilliant tactical maneuver, resulting in the destruction of several Zarn capital ships. Word of these victories spread through underground channels across the galaxy. Species that had long resigned themselves to Zarn domination began to whisper of hope. The legend of the humans, ancient warriors from beyond the stars, grew with each successful mission. But their success came at a cost. The Zarn Empire, initially dismissive of what they saw as minor uprisings, began to take the threat seriously. They increased patrols, tightened security, and unleashed brutal reprisals against worlds suspected of harboring resistance fighters. Sarah stood in the war room of their hidden base, surrounded by representatives from a dozen alien races. The atmosphere was tense. Reports of Zarn atrocities had shaken many of their allies. They destroyed an entire Kareen colony, a Kareen elder said, his mental voice trembling. Millions dead, to punish us for our defiance. Similar stories came from others. The Zarn were responding to the growing rebellion with increasing savagery, hoping to terrorize the galaxy into submission. Sarah's fists clenched at her sides. "This is why we must fight," she said, her voice carrying across the room. "The Zarn won't stop. Every world, every species in this galaxy will suffer the same fate if we don't stand against them." She activated a holographic display of the galaxy. "We've bloodied their nose, shown them they're not invincible. But now we need to strike a blow they can't ignore. We need to show everyone in this galaxy that the Zarn can be defeated." Sarah pointed to a pulsing red dot on the map. "This is the Zarn's primary shipyard. If we can destroy it, we'll cripple their ability to project power across the galaxy. It's heavily defended, deep in Zarn territory. But with our combined strengths, we have a chance." The room erupted in discussion, some voicing support, others expressing doubt. Sarah watched them, feeling the weight of leadership on her shoulders. They had come so far, built an alliance that would have seemed impossible months ago. But the real test was yet to come. As the debate raged on, Sarah's mind wandered to the Earth she had left behind, centuries and galaxies away. They had been sent to preserve humanity, to ensure its survival. Now, they were fighting not just for themselves, but for an entire galaxy of alien life. The humans had found their purpose, their place in this new universe. They were no longer just survivors. They were liberators, the spark of a revolution that could reshape the galaxy. Sarah Chen, once a captain of a lost human expedition, now stood as a leader of a galactic rebellion. As she looked at the diverse faces of her allies, she knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The Zarn Empire's days were numbered, and a new era of freedom was about to dawn. The counterattack. The vast emptiness of space was shattered by the sudden appearance of the Zarn armée. Thousands of ships, from nimble fighters to massive dreadnoughts, dropped out of faster-than-light travel. At the center of the fleet was the Zarn Emperor's personal flagship, a colossal vessel that dwarfed even the largest battleships. Emperor Zexkra stood on the bridge, his four arms crossed as he surveyed the holographic display of the Nyx system. This remote corner of the galaxy had become the heart of the rebellion that dared to challenge Zarn supremacy. "My Emperor," his chief strategist approached, bowing low. "Our forces are in position. The rebels have no idea we're here." Zexkra's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with anticipation. "Excellent. Commence the attack. I want every rebel stronghold reduced to cosmic dust." Across the Nyx system, Zarn warships descended upon planets, moons, and space stations. Energy weapons capable of cracking continents rained down destruction on an unprecedented scale. On the rebel headquarters moon of Nyx Prime, alarms blared as the first Zarn ships appeared in the sky. Captain Sarah Chen raced to the command center, her mind already racing through tactical options. "Status report," she barked as she entered. Lieutenant Torres, his face grim, brought up a holographic display of the system. "It's bad, Captain. The Zarn hit us with everything they've got. Our outer defenses are already overwhelmed." Sarah's jaw clenched as she took in the severity of the situation. The Zarn fleet outnumbered them at least 10-1. This wasn't just an attack, it was an extermination. "Send out the distress call to all our allies," she ordered, "and prep the Lazarus Protocol." Torres's eyes widened. "Captain, the Lazarus Protocol is untested. We don't know if. We don't have a choice," Sarah cut him off. "It's our only shot at surviving this." As the command staff rushed to carry out her orders, Sarah opened a channel to address all rebel forces in the system. This is Captain Chen. The Zarn have launched a full-scale assault on all our positions. Our mission now is to hold the line, to buy time for our allies to arrive, and for the Lazarus Protocol to be initiated. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. The galaxy is counting on us. Chen out. The battle that ensued was nothing short of apocalyptic. Rebel ships, though outnumbered, fought with a ferocity that caught the Zarn off guard. Human tactical genius combined with the unique abilities of their alien allies to create chaos in the Zarn formations. Volkrin's stealth ships phased through Zarn capital ships, detonating antimatter charges from within. Karimshin's projected illusions that caused entire Zarn squadrons to fire on each other. And at the forefront, human-led strike teams executed maneuvers that seemed to defy the laws of physics. On Nyx Prime, Sarah led the ground defense against waves of Zarn dropships. The air was thick with plasma fire and the acrid smell of burning ozone. Sarah's enhanced reflexes allowed her to dance through the battlefield, her every shot finding its mark. "Push them back," she shouted, rallying a group of Arbory warriors. "We hold this line no matter what." But despite their valiant efforts, the rebels were being pushed back on all fronts. The sheer numbers of the Zarn were overwhelming, and for every ship they destroyed, 2 more took its place. In orbit, the rebel flagship Defiance shuddered under the assault of 3 Zarn battlecruisers. On its bridge, Admiral Exile of the Arbory coordinated the space battle, his leafy appendages moving in a blur as he issued commands. "Human ingenuity has kept us in the fight this long," he said to his crew, "but we need a miracle." As if in answer to his words, a brilliant flash of light erupted at the edge of the system. A massive portal tore open in the fabric of space, and through it poured ships of designs never before seen in the galaxy. Sarah's comm crackled to life. "This is Fleet Admiral Thorne of the Terran Alliance. Sorry we're late to the party, Captain Chen. Your message took a while to reach us, but Earth remembers its children. We're here to even the odds." Joy and disbelief warred in Sarah's heart. Somehow, against all odds, their distress call had reached Earth. Humanity had not only survived but thrived, becoming a major power in their home galaxy. The arrival of the Terran fleet turned the tide of the battle. Their ships, the product of centuries of advancement beyond even what the Zarn possessed, cut through the enemy formations like a scythe through wheat. But the Zarn Emperor was not about to admit defeat. He ordered his flagship to advance, its main cannon powering up for a shot that could shatter a planet. "All forces, focus fire on the Emperor's ship," Sarah commanded, recognizing the threat. Every rebel and Terran ship that could bring its weapons to bear opened fire on the Zarn flagship. Energy beams and missile swarms converged on the massive vessel, but its shields held. "It's not enough," Torres reported, the desperation clear in his voice. Sarah's mind raced. There was only one option left: initiate the Lazarus Protocol. Now, deep within Nyx Prime, a device of human design melded with alien technology hummed to life. It was the culmination of everything they had learned about Zarn technology and the fundamental forces of the universe. A beam of pure white energy lanced out from the moon's surface, striking the Zarn flagship just as it fired its main cannon. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, reality itself seemed to warp around the massive ship. The Lazarus Protocol didn't just destroy the Zarn flagship. It erased it from existence, the ship the Emperor, and a significant portion of the Zarn fleet simply ceased to be, leaving behind a void in space that quickly collapsed in on itself. The effect rippled outward, catching more Zarn ships in its wake. Those that survived were left disoriented and leaderless. Within hours, the combined rebel and Terran forces had routed what remained of the once mighty Zarn armada. As the dust settled, Sarah stood in the command center, hardly daring to believe they had survived. A transmission came through from the Terran flagship. "Captain Chen." Admiral Thorne's hologram appeared before her. "I think it's time we had a long talk about what you and your people have been up to in this galaxy. Earth has a lot of catching up to do." Sarah smiled, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. The war wasn't over, but for the first time since they had awakened in this distant galaxy, the future looked bright. "Admiral," she replied, "you have no idea how long I've been waiting to have that conversation." As Terran ships began landing on Nyx Prime, bringing with them reunion centuries in the making, Sarah knew that a new chapter in human history was about to begin. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity's role in shaping its future was just beginning. A new era dawns. The Grand Assembly Hall on Nyx Prime buzzed with activity. Representatives from dozens of species, once oppressed by the Zarn Empire, now gathered to shape the future of the galaxy. At the center of it all stood Captain Sarah Chen, her uniform crisp and adorned with new insignia marking her elevated rank. A year had passed since the decisive battle that broke the back of the Zarn Empire. The arrival of the Terran fleet had changed everything, not just militarily, but politically and culturally as well. Earth, it turned out, had not only survived but thrived, becoming a major power in their home galaxy. Now, they sought to extend that influence to this new frontier. Admiral Thorne, the imposing figure who had led the Terran reinforcements, approached Sarah. "Quite a gathering, wouldn't you say, Ambassador Chen?" Sarah nodded, still not entirely comfortable with her new title. "It's more than I ever dreamed possible when we first woke up in this galaxy, but we have a long way to go." The fall of the Zarn had left a power vacuum, and not everyone agreed on how to fill it. Some wanted to form a galactic federation. Others advocated for independent sovereign systems. The debates had been fierce, but progress was being made. As the session was called to order, Sarah took her place at the podium. She looked out at the sea of alien faces, each representing billions of lives counting on the decisions made here. "Distinguished representatives," she began, her voice carrying across the hall, "we stand at a crossroads. The tyranny of the Zarn Empire is behind us, but the challenge of building a just and lasting peace lies ahead." She gestured to a holographic display of the galaxy. For too long, this galaxy was divided. Oppressors and oppressed, conquerors and conquered. We have a chance to break that cycle, to forge a new path based on cooperation and mutual respect. The next hours were filled with intense debate. The Volcran argued for a decentralized system that would protect individual freedoms. The Kareen advocated for a strong central authority to prevent future tyrants from rising. The Arbori proposed a middle ground, a federation with checks and balances. Through it all, Sarah and the other human representatives worked tirelessly to bridge divides and find common ground. Their unique perspective as outsiders who had united the galaxy against the Zarn gave their words weight. As the session neared its end, a consensus began to emerge. A galactic concordat would be formed, a union of free worlds with a charter enshrining the rights of all sentient beings. Each member world would maintain significant autonomy, but would commit to mutual defense and open trade. When the final vote was tallied, the motion passed with an overwhelming majority. The hall erupted in cheers, and Sarah felt a wave of emotion wash over her. They had done it. Against all odds, they had not only survived, but helped birth the new era of peace and cooperation. As the delegates celebrated, Sarah slipped away to a quiet balcony overlooking the capital city. The skyline was a blend of architectural styles from a dozen worlds, a visual representation of the cooperation that had blossomed in the wake of the Zarn's defeat. Lieutenant Torres, now Colonel Torres, joined her. "Quite a view, isn't it? Hard to believe this was all rubble a year ago." Sarah nodded, a small smile on her lips. "We've come a long way. The Terran diplomats are already talking about establishing permanent embassies on key worlds," Torres continued. "They're calling this galaxy New Frontier. Fitting, don't you think?" Before Sarah could respond, her comm unit beeped. A holographic message sprang to life, showing Admiral Thorne's face. "Ambassador Chen, Colonel Torres, your presence is requested in the secure briefing room immediately." Exchanging concerned glances, Sarah and Torres made their way to the briefing. Inside, they found Admiral Thorne and several high-ranking officials from various species gathered around a holodeck. "We've received a disturbing transmission from the edge of known space," Thorne began without preamble. He activated the holodeck, showing a sector of the galaxy they had yet to explore. "Long-range scouts have detected signs of a massive fleet approaching. Initial analysis suggests it's Zarn." A murmur of shock ran through the room. Sarah felt her heart race. "That's impossible. We destroyed their leadership, dismantled their empire." "Apparently not all of it," Thorne replied grimly. "We believe this may be a splinter faction, one that fled to deep space when the empire began to crumble. They've had a year to regroup, and now they're coming back with a vengeance." The implications were staggering. Just when they thought peace was at hand, a new threat loomed on the horizon. But as Sarah looked around the room, she didn't see fear in the eyes of her colleagues. Instead, she saw determination. "We beat them once," Torres said, voicing what everyone was thinking. "We can do it again." Sarah nodded, her mind already racing with strategies. "This time, we're not a scattered resistance. We're united with the full backing of Earth and the Terran fleet." Admiral Thorne smiled, a fierce glint in his eye. "I was hoping you'd say that. The Concordat will need strong leadership in the face of this threat. The various councils are unanimous in their recommendation that you, Ambassador Chen, take charge of our defense efforts." Sarah blinked, momentarily taken aback. "Me? But surely there are more qualified." "There is no one more qualified," a Korean elder interjected. "You united us once before. You understand both human and alien perspectives. You are the bridge our people need." As the others voiced their agreement, Sarah felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. This was far beyond anything she had trained for back on Earth, centuries ago. But then again, nothing in her life had gone according to plan since waking up in this galaxy. She straightened, her voice firm as she addressed the room. "Very well. If you'll have me, I'll do everything in my power to protect the peace we've built and the people we've sworn to defend." The meeting stretched late into the night as they began to formulate plans. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Sarah found herself once again on the balcony, looking out at the city. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers they had yet to imagine. The road ahead would be challenging, but they would face it together, humans and aliens, united in their determination to forge a better future. As ships from a dozen worlds rose into the morning sky, Sarah Chen, once a captain of a lost human expedition, now the defender of a galactic alliance, allowed herself a moment of pride. They had awakened to a universe of uncertainty, but had found their place in it. Whatever challenges lay ahead, be it the resurgent Zarn or some as yet unknown threat, they would meet it head-on. For in this new era, they were no longer alone. They were part of something greater, a tapestry of civilizations working together to reach for the stars. The dawn of a new age had truly begun, and humanity would play a crucial role in shaping its course. Sarah smiled as she turned back to her duties, ready to face whatever the universe had in store.